And the top three qualify for the 15-lap final.
Riders revving up those 250cc machines. The gate drops. They charge to turn number one. Heavy traffic going in. There's a couple of riders, 4 or 5 riders going wide in turn one. 56, the French champion Lucan grabs the early lead. James Eckel moves through into the second place position on bike number 57. So it's the French champion Lucan 56 with the early lead as he works his way up over this big single jump. Lucan 56, his first time here in Toronto, running the Supercross event. In second place, the young 18-year-old James Eckel from Grove City, Ohio, as Eckel has been racing in the U.S. in the 125cc East Championship, and he's trying to chase down the French champion Lucan. Ludovic Lucan through the switchback. Now as he moves up into the second section of rocker jumps, Eckel is starting to close.
Now that first part of the course, Pat, was so important for Lucan to get the start, get the lead right off that first turn.
Scott, he got what is called the hole shot in the business. He was the first man to the first turn, got away clean. You saw that big pileup up to the outside. Lucan checks over his left shoulder as he completes the first lap back through turn number one, having a little bit of difficulty there and accelerating off of turn one. Over the tabletop, through the left-hand switchback, Eckel still trying to chase down 56, your race leader, Ludovic Lucan, the French champion, won the 1989 French Supercross champion, and right now just a few bike lengths ahead of the fine young rider from Ohio, James Eckel, on the Yamaha. Lucan on the Honda, it is Eckel on the Yamaha, as the two riders still just a few bike lengths apart. Through the first section of rockers, here's Lucan. He'll attack that big trailer jump. Lots of air as he goes right up over the other side, now up over that camelback and through the switchback. You can see Lucan obviously concerned with Eckel. He keeps checking over his shoulders, not going particularly well through that section. Now he gets pretty good air as he doubles the last couple of jumps in that section. Lucan on the last lap over the single jump on the straightaway, and here was Eckel and Lucan through the rocker section. Big double there for Lucan as he works his way through the switchback, and that has been as close as Eckel has been able to get. Lucan back through turn one. The checkered flag is out, and he will win it.
Ludovic Lucan of France wins it. He makes it to the final, as does James Eckel of Grove City, Ohio. His statemate Chris Knox of Dayton, Ohio, on a Kawasaki will also be there. Heat number 2 features the hired gun, Suzuki factory rider Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington. He is a heavy favorite to win. But tough competition will come in the form of Mike Jones of Export, Pennsylvania. He is the reigning world champion. Mike will ride a Honda. We are ready for heat number 2. All eyes on the gate. And it is down.
The riders away, the charge to turn number one. The fast line has been on the inside, and there we get 2 or 3 riders right off the racetrack trying to go around the outside. 125, Jeremy McGrath, the Sun City, California rider on the Kawasaki, leads in the early going. 351. Mike Jones on that red Honda runs in second, and number 9, Hamilton's Brad King for the moment in third. McGrath, 125, who's been doing a lot of 125cc racing in the United States, both outdoors and in 125 Supercross action, leading here on the Kawasaki as they come through the rocker section and head for the big trailer jump. Look at the air for McGrath and Jones, 351. The 2 American riders having a real battle here in the early going, and they've pulled well ahead of Hamilton rider Brad King as they go through the second rocker section.
But where is Larry Ward? That's the question. He did not get a good start in this race. He's the heavy favorite to win this heat.
Ward is charging up through the pack, Scott. I believe he got hung up in that bit of a pileup in turn number 1, but he is on the charge. Meanwhile, up front, McGrath back into turn 1. The riders seem to be experimenting with the line through turn number 1. It looks as though McGrath at this point running about midway through the turn, not really down to the inside. And here comes Jones. He will challenge as they come over the single jump. Now through that right-hand switchback. Jones right up alongside the riders. Handlebar to handlebar as they move out of the straightaway section. California and Pennsylvania here at the Molson Export Supercross, and through the rockers, it is Mike Jones on the inside. He will take the lead. Mike Jones moving around Jeremy McGrath. Again, plenty of air off the trailer jump, now up over the camelback and through the switchback. McGrath, though, really charging after Mike Jones, and he will close to within a bike length as they go through the second section of rocker jumps.
This short 5-lap race, there is Mike Jones of Export, Pennsylvania, the reigning world champion. He leads from Jeremy McGrath, but there's number 71, Larry Ward. He has moved up into 3rd place.
Through the right-hand switchback, McGrath almost ran into the back of Mike Jones, who continues to lead on the Honda. California's McGrath on the Kawasaki is in 2nd. And here comes Larry Ward, number 71, putting a charge on through the rockers. And he will move around McGrath in a 2nd place. So Larry Ward continues his tremendous charge up through the field. But here's your leader, 351, Mike Jones, the World Supercross champion, now coming under pressure from Larry Ward, number 71, as they work it through the rockers. And look at Ward make up ground on Mike Jones as they come out of the straightaway section. It is Jones leading, but 71, Larry Ward is right there, and you can tell he is hungry for the lead. Back onto the starting area, they charge in at turn number 1. It is Jones leading, a bit of a problem. They're out of turn 1. The blue and white last lap flag is out. Less than a lap to go. It is Jones leading, Ward in 2nd, McGrath is 3rd.
This is an amazing comeback by Larry Ward. He is behind Jones. Look at this. He's going to take him.
Almost right up alongside as they went through the switchback. But Mike Jones manages to hold off Larry Ward. But here as they come up over these 2 single jumps, this is where Ward has been very, very quick. And again, he moves to the inside of Jones, and he will take the lead. What a charge by Larry Ward. Big air off the trailer jump. Now over the camelback. Ward has put on just a miraculous charge in this heat race. Through the rockers for the final time. It is Ward by about 3 or 4 bike lengths. He now stretches it out. Larry Ward pulling away from 351. Mike Jones in 2nd. Checks over the right shoulder. It is still McGrath back in 3rd. Just 1 corner to go now here for Ward through turn 1. As he comes up to the finish jump, the checkered flag will be out. Larry Ward wins it.
So Larry Ward of Seattle takes the flag in an amazing comeback.
When I got into 3rd, 1st and 2nd were a long ways in front of me, but my Suzuki's running really good, and I wanted to win, and now I have a lot of confidence for the main event.
Ward, Jones, and McGrath move on to the 15-lap final. We too are moving on to the Thunder Buggies when Sports Weekend returns to the Sky Dome in Toronto. Earlier in the day, the motocross riders went through their safety inspection stats. Number 124, Keith Bowen on a Suzuki. Heat number 3 also features Jim Hawley of Woodland Hills, California, the 1989 Ultracross champion. And someone to watch, Doug Henry, a Connecticut Yankee, holding court in the 250cc class for the first time. He is normally a 125 rider. We are ready for the start of heat number 3.
Riders cleanly away from the starting gate. 1 rider stalling the engine. The charge in at turn number 1. And again, we've got a pileup up to the outside. That is not the quick way through that first turn. Number 68, John Nelson, California rider out of San Jose, leading on that yellow Suzuki. 169, your 2nd place rider is Doug Henry out of Shelton, Connecticut. So the Americans already going to the front here. A Canadian rider has not qualified for the final as yet. The American riders and, of course, the French champion, Ludovic, have dominated the first 2 heats. Here is Nelson, number 68. Oh, and he crashes hard coming out of the rockers. Doug Henry, 169, plenty of air off the trailer jump. The young American rider from Connecticut on the Yamaha takes the lead. And Scott, here is a very hard fall by John Nelson.
John Nelson, a very bad break. Oh, he's into the hay bales, and that gives Doug Henry, the former 125 rider, the chance to pull away in this 250 class.
Doug Henry has been having a fine season in the United States as he works it up over the jump there and through the switchback. He's currently ranked 4th in the American Eastern Supercross Series. He's on his last lap now, riding just a little bit more conservative. He's got a big cushion to work with. Doug Henry, number 169 on the Yamaha. He has just a couple of corners to go before he'll see the checkered flag. He's now onto the starting area in at turn 1. As he comes up to the checkered flag, he will score an impressive win.
A big win for Doug Henry.
Good show for the people, you know. We got good battles out there, you know.
Got some tough riders to face, though, don't you? Tell us about that.
Well, Larry Ward, of course, you know, is very fast, and Ross and Jim Hawley, and there's just so much competition out there, you know. It's just great.
Just great is how Doug Henry feels about making the final. Keith Bowen and Jim Hawley, the Yamaha rider, are heading there with him. They await the 15-lap final, the big race. Heat number 4 in the Supercross is a battle of Canadians. Carl Vaillancourt of Drummondville, Quebec. He is the up-and-comer, and he will challenge Ross Peterson of Medicine Hat, Alberta, the man they call the rollerball. has been the Canadian King for so long. Peterson is a 3-time winner of this event. Bill Wallen will also be a threat from Barrie, Ontario. Wallen rides bike number 12. He is also another Canadian on the rise. All eyes on the gate for heat number 4, the last chance for a Canadian to qualify for the final.
Out of the heat races, one of the riders there hung up in that rat trap starting gate to charge to turn 1. Vaillancourt, number 2 on that red Honda, leads over the tabletop jump into the first switchback. Peterson, number 7, goes through on the inside into the second place spot. Carl Vaillancourt, who has really worked hard on his conditioning, stamina, and strength, leading this opening lap of heat 4. Vaillancourt, plenty of air off the jump. Peterson, number 7, on that yellow Suzuki, runs back in second place, as Vaillancourt right now through the rockers for the first time, holding about a 10 bike length lead over number 7, Peterson, who runs in the second place position. Plenty of air off the trailer jump for Carl Vaillancourt as he comes into the switchback, checks over the right shoulder. There's Peterson in second.
This just points out the importance of the start. Vaillancourt just outdueled Peterson at the start of the race, and look at his lead now. He hasn't got much time, but he will keep this going and probably keep Peterson at bay for the rest of the race.
Well, these 5-lap heats are very, very quick. There you can see the mechanics and crews signaling their riders. Peterson being urged on by his tuner, Dave Gowland, as he tries to chase down Carl Vaillancourt. Vaillancourt just 20 years of age. Peterson is 29. He's really a senior citizen as far as Supercross and motocross competition is concerned. There you can see still about 10, 12 bike lengths. Vaillancourt, the Quebec rider, on the Honda. Peterson out of Medicine Hat, Alberta, on that bright yellow Suzuki. So Canadians run 1-2, as it is Vaillancourt who's led from the start, and now he's starting to pour it on. He is pulling away from Peterson. Plenty of air again for Carl Vaillancourt, who really seems to be in sync. He's got the rhythm off the jumps through the rockers. Carl Vaillancourt continues to lead it. Good battle there for third place, involving Andy Stacy of Depew, New York, also on a Suzuki. But it's been all Carl Vaillancourt aboard that number 2 Honda as he leads the multi-time Canadian Supercross champion, Ross Peterson.
Looks like good news for Canadians in this race, Pat. They haven't qualified yet for the final, but Vaillancourt and Peterson are both in position. The top 3 riders from this race will go into that final. So very important for Canadians in heat number 4.
Of course, the 25 that go to the final come out of these heat races. They'll also run some semifinals and a last chance to come up with the 25 who will run in the main event. But Carl Vaillancourt, he doesn't want to go to the semis or that last chance. He wants to go out here, run hard, run up front, and qualify through the heat race. Vaillancourt up over that single jump now. Again, lots of air off of the trailer jump. That'll be an indication that he's carrying good speed as he comes out of the rockers. Peterson still holding on to that second place position. Andy Stacy of Depew, New York, currently runs in the third place spot.
We mentioned a little bit more to this race than just the race itself. Vaillancourt trying to take over from Ross Peterson as the preeminent Canadian on the motocross tour, and Vaillancourt is showing well here.
Well, he's certainly one of the riders who can become the number 1 rider in Supercross and motocross in Canada, because Peterson has maybe another year of competition. But here is Carl Vaillancourt. As we said, he's really worked on his conditioning and on his riding. He's done a lot of racing in the United States, getting the good competition, and I think it's really helped his riding.
Here's another look at what made this race for Carl Vaillancourt. It is the start. It, of course, is a mass start. They try to get into that first turn, and the number 2 bike of Carl Vaillancourt just outduels Ross Peterson. There the 2 are, and there is number 2, Vaillancourt, first into the turn.
Well, we said the fast line was on the inside. That's precisely where Vaillancourt went. He leads over the Camelback.
A big win for Carl Vaillancourt is coming up, no question. He has kept Ross Peterson at bay. Carl Vaillancourt is well on his way to qualifying for this final. There he takes the checkered flag. Carl Vaillancourt.
Yeah, I just want to get a good start like I did and just ride my own race and then watch how the track is, because it changed a lot from practice. I was worried about the main section, the whoop section in back there, the section where you can make up time, so that's what I was working on, trying to find where I can get some other lines.
Do you find it fairly tight out there? You've got to be careful in that first corner.
Yeah, like I wanted to get inside because everybody was being pushed out. and that's what happened. And you got to stick inside here because there's not going to be too much passing. There'll be a lot of physical contact, though.
Are you confident for the final?
I'm confident. After that race, I feel good, and I just want to win that main.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
So, Carl Vaillancourt wins the first battle of Canadians. Andy Stacey of Depew, New York is second. Ross Rollerball Peterson is third. Next, the final when we return to Skydome.
On this one, checkered flag coming out here for Ross Peterson as he wins the first of 2 nights of Supercross racing at the Big O.
They call him the Rollerball. Medicine Hat, Alberta's Ross Peterson. It has been his story in Canadian motocross, and to many, number 7 is number 1.
I'd say I'm definitely in or past my prime right now. I still feel good out there. I can still show the young guys the way around the track, and you know, I'm just gonna keep going out there and ride my best.
Ross Peterson is known for giving no less than his best all the time. This man is the only 3-time winner of the Molson Supercross, but at 29, he may be near the end of his career.
Well, here in Toronto, this could be the last time that the people see me racing here. This is looking like the last year of my career right now, and you know, we'll just have to wait and see what my options are for next year, and we'll go at it like that.
You'll be sad to leave, though, if you have to.
I love racing. It gets in your blood. It's hard to leave the sport. I mean, this is what I've done all my life, and it's hard to leave, and it's going to be difficult, but as the story goes, maybe it's time to turn the page in the book of life and open a new chapter up.
And so this chapter finds Ross Peterson in excellent company. 25 bikes, some of the best in the world. The Canadian would like nothing better than a win to finish it off at Skydome. But in his way is the heavy favorite Larry Ward, number 71 of Suzuki. He is a big threat. And then there's Drummondville's Carl Vaillancourt, hungry for the Canadian spotlight, so long occupied by Ross Peterson. Chris Pomeroy, number 126, the 16-year-old, is also in the final. He qualified in one of the semis. Here's the start.
The gate drops the field away. The charge to turn 1. A rider is down right in the middle of the pack. I believe that is Tommy Carson. Several other riders hung up. And Mike Jones, I believe, was also down in that first turn. But it's Larry Ward, number 71, who grabs the early lead. Carl Vaillancourt on bike number 2 is up into the second place position. It is 71. Ward out quickly. He got the whole shot. Vaillancourt in second.
But I believe the flags are coming up. Here's another look. There he is. Jones is down.
25 motorcycles all bottlenecking down into that first turn. One of the riders right in the middle, I believe that may have been Jones. Carson runs right into the back of his machine. 6 or 7 other riders simply get on the brakes and stop it. Here's your leader, number 71, Larry Ward, but the red flags are out. They will stop this race, Scott Russell. Just no way you could continue with all of those motorcycles and the riders still down in turn number 1. So the red flags are out. There is Larry Ward. There's his mechanic, the veteran Jeff Clark, and the medical people are attending to, I believe it is Mike Jones, who is up on his feet now. So a lucky break for Mike Jones, who has had his share of injuries in his racing career. A couple of years ago, had a very bad knee injury that he's pretty much recovered from now, but obviously shaken up, and he will walk away from a pretty hard get-off. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go here on the restart.
The officials are talking to him. Mike Jones is refusing medical aid. His bike is going back into the gate. He'll be back for the restart when we return to Sports Weekend from the Skydome in Toronto. Bikes for the 1990 Molson Supercross final. Tom Carson, Mike Jones back in this race after a nasty fall the first start. A maze of hands on clutches waiting for the gate to drop. Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington, the man to watch on bike 71. There's the gate, and here they go.
Everybody away cleanly. The charge back into turn number 1. On the inside, Vaillancourt, but up to the outside goes the French champion, Ludovic Lucan. 56, Lucan's taking the lead. Vaillancourt, number 2, up into second. 68, John Nelson, the California rider on that yellow Suzuki, runs in third, and Larry Ward, number 71, is on the charge. There's Ward. He's up into 5th. But for the moment, it is the French Supercross champion, Lucan, 56 on the Honda, who leads. Drummondville, Quebec's Carl Vaillancourt runs in second.
Interesting to note that the man who has lost in this is Larry Ward. He was first in the first start. Now he's got to make a charge, Pat.
Lucan looked over his left shoulder, and he did not come off that camelback jump very well, and Vaillancourt is pulled up alongside. As they go through the rockers, Carl Vaillancourt takes the lead with a beautiful charge out of the rockers. It is number 2, Carl Vaillancourt, the Canadian rider, leading the Molson Export Supercross here at Skydome. Lucan is in second, and Larry Ward, 71, is up in a third now on that yellow Suzuki.
Unbelievable how this man, Larry Ward, can charge. He has only raced twice before in Canada, both times in Vancouver. Both times he has won. He is undefeated. But Carl Vaillancourt of Quebec leads from the French rider, Lucan.
71 on the inside. Larry Ward has moved into second place, pushing the Frenchman Lucan back to third. So Ward continues his tremendous charge to the front. Remember, this is Larry Ward's first trip here to Toronto. He's been one of the top riders in the United States so far this year. And earlier, he won the Seattle Supercross before a tremendous crowd. That certainly has to be the highlight of this racing season, but he'd love to win his first event here in Toronto, and he's closing on Vaillancourt as they come out of the straightaway. Just a few bike lengths separating Vaillancourt on the Honda and number 71, Larry Ward, on the Suzuki.
Has to be a highlight for Carl Vaillancourt of Drummondville, Quebec, to be leading here at the Skydome in Toronto and dueling against one of the best in the world, Suzuki factory rider Larry Ward. The question now is, over 15 laps, and it's a long race, can Carl Vaillancourt hang on?
Well, Vaillancourt's going to really have his work cut out for him. He's racing against one of the best riders in the world. And, of course, Ward is on some factory equipment. He has some of the engine and suspension goodies, and there he goes, 71. Larry Ward has taken the lead away from Carl Vaillancourt, and it happens right here in the very technical section of rocker jumps. He's simply quicker through that section. The suspension working a little bit better on his Suzuki as he comes up to the big trailer jump, pulls away from Vaillancourt. So there's your leader, Larry Ward, 71, up over the camelback, through the switchback, and now he's starting to pull away, pouring it on. Vaillancourt still about 6 or 7 bike lengths back, but Ward is starting to really turn it on. He's pulling away as he gets into his own groove and rhythm out here.
We talked to some of the other riders in the practice sessions and through the heats, and everybody here was saying that Larry Ward is seconds faster than anybody else in this field. And right now, he is widening the gap between himself and Carl Vaillancourt.
Vaillancourt has really improved his riding over the last couple of years. He has really worked on getting as much competition as he can. He's been racing in the United States a great deal, really working on his conditioning and, of course, on the diet and simply the preparation for all of these events. He is quickly becoming one of Canada's top riders, but right now, only good enough in second place. And look at the air that Ward gets off that trailer jump as he continues to just pull away from Carl Vaillancourt, who has a solid second place spot at the moment, although moving up into third place now is bike number 125. That is Jeremy McGrath on the Kawasaki. So McGrath, who did not get off to a good start, is closing here on Vaillancourt for second. Meanwhile, Larry Ward, 71, is all by himself, well out in front.
Pat, it's really interesting to watch Larry Ward. He's like a good skier. He is one with that bike. He has a rhythm going, and he really establishes that throughout the race. It's just a fluid motion, and, you know, he just starts to pull away.
Scott, we talk about the riders and the machines, but of course, another very important factor, of course, is the mechanic. The mechanic is really not only the man who prepares and builds the motorcycle, but he is the psychologist. He is the handler in the corner who urges the rider on, gets them psyched up. And Larry Ward is working with one of the real veterans in Jeff Clark, who is tuned for such famous names as Mark Barnett and Bob Hurricane Hanna over the years. And I think that is a real plus for Larry Ward. They were out much earlier today looking over the track and discussing things as how they were going to set up the motorcycle and handle the racing. We now look at the battle for second place as Jeremy McGrath on that Kawasaki is closing on Carl Vaillancourt.
Carl Vaillancourt of Drummondville, Quebec, trying to hold off a challenge from Jeremy McGrath to stay in the money here at Skydome. But there is your race leader. Leader number 71, Larry Ward, the Suzuki factory rider. He is halfway through this race, a 15-lap race, a grueling race. This has to take its toll on the riders' bodies, Pat.
Scott, you've got to be in tremendous physical shape to compete at this level. And riders such as Larry Ward have very, very intensive training programs. He does a lot of running, works with the weights, and also does a lot of riding on his practice motorcycles. Probably 5-6 times a week when he's not racing, he's out there on the practice track just getting his body used to this kind of tremendous pounding. And right now, he is lapping some of the slower traffic. He just went around the number 6 machine there of Shane Drew, the Thunder Bay, Ontario rider. Now he moves up to lap the 33 machine of Chris Lemon. So that'll give you an indication as to the pace that he has set out here in the first half of this race. And of course, Ward has to be very, very careful as he laps some of these riders. If one of them moves over, he can take Ward right out of this race and knock him down on the racetrack. But Larry Ward there waiting for the opening, and then he just accelerates past the rider that he's trying to lap. Larry Ward well out in front. We look at the battle for second place. That's a good one between Biancourt number 2 and 125, Jeremy McGrath, the California rider out of Sun City, California. Again, 71, Larry Ward moves around the number 10 machine, and that is Todd Townsend that has been lapped. Townsend going a lap down to Larry Ward as he continues to just blast around the track here at Skydome.
Larry Ward up over the hump there, and we can tell you now that number 125, Jeremy McGrath, has moved into second place past Carl Biancourt. There he is, number 125. You know, someone we haven't talked about, Pat, is Ross Rollerball Peterson. He started in the middle of the pack, but is moving up now and is challenging the top 5 riders. There's Larry Ward.
Ward continues a tremendous run up at the front. As you said, Jeremy McGrath on the Kawasaki, the Sun City, California rider, up in a second. And then it is number 2, Carl Biancourt, still holding on to the third place spot.
About 2 laps to go for number 71, Larry Ward, and he is dominating. He has a look back there to see what's behind him. Not much. He's pulling away, Pat.
Nothing but lap riders at the moment. The second place rider, McGrath, on that Kawasaki is a long way back. Carl Biancourt continues to run in the third place position, and Ross Peterson has now taken over fourth. Larry Ward, number 71 on that factory Suzuki, running well out in front. Coming in here to Toronto, he was 4th ranked in the American Camel Supercross Series, and he just continues to carve his way up through the field. Ward up over the finish jump as he completes lap number 13, so a little bit less than 2 to go, and Ward continues to carve his way, coming up on the number 12 machine here now of Bill Wallen, the Barrie rider.
Put your finger on it, Pat. What is it about Larry Ward that allows him to dominate?
Well, Ward is very, very dedicated to the sport. Of course, last year he raced on the 125cc class machines where you learn to be very aggressive. There is Jeremy McGrath, 125, still holding on to that second place position as we're on lap number 14. But Ward really takes this sport seriously. He trains very, very hard. And as we said, the factory machine is a big help. He does have a motorcycle that is superior to the other production 250cc Supercross machines that many of the other riders are running. But it's not only motorcycle. You're looking at a very talented, determined, dedicated rider.
It's just cruising now for Larry Ward. 1 lap to go. Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington, way out in front of the field, and he had to come from behind to do it. He did not get the good start in this final race, but Larry Ward is pulling away and making good on what's been left to him, and that's just talent and determination.
Ward out of turn 1. He takes the blue and white last lap flag. Less than a lap to go for the Seattle, Washington rider, Larry Ward on the factory Suzuki. McGrath on the Kawasaki continues to run in second. Canada's Carl Biancourt, turning in a splendid ride, continues to nail down that third place position.
It would be a big day for Carl Biancourt if he could finish in the top 3. This has been the property of Ross Peterson. Now, if Biancourt could get in there for the money, that might be signs of things to come.
Of course, Ross, as we've been saying, perhaps this is his last year. He may have one more year to go, but there's some of the young riders such as Biancourt, Pomeroy, who are coming up, and they will become the superstars of Canadian Supercross and motocross. Larry Ward, 71, through that rocker section where he's been so strong, up on the fast straightaway here over that single jump. Now for the final time, the checkered flag will be out as he comes onto the starting area. A couple of slower riders ahead of Larry Ward. He'll be very, very cautious. Checkered flag coming up here for 71, Larry Ward, as he wins the Molson Export Supercross.
Larry Ward, number 71 of Seattle, Washington, the race winner. Jeremy McGrath on bike 125, a distant second. Quebec's Carl Vaillancourt is third. We'll be back to meet Larry Ward when we return to Skydome. Welcome back to the 1990 Molson Supercross from the Skydome in Toronto. Standing with me, the champion Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington. Larry, 2 bad starts, but 2 great results.
Thank you. I got a hole shot there, but they restarted it, so I have my work cut out for me in the main. I rode real good tonight. My Suzuki is working good, and I'm just happy to be here in Toronto.
What about that red flag at the start of that final race? Did that bother you at all?
No, because I knew I was riding real well, and I just knew I had to try to get a good start again. That's something that happens with motocross, so you just gotta take it as it comes.
Larry Ward, you are undefeated now in Canada, twice in Vancouver, once in Toronto. Are you glad you came?
Oh, definitely. Toronto, it's a beautiful city. They keep it real clean, and I had a lot of fun here. I can't wait to come back next year.
Okay, congratulations, Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington, our 1990 Supercross champion. Pat Gonzalez, was there ever any doubt Larry Ward was the clear-cut favorite all the way?
Not at all, Scott. I asked a number of people in the pits, if you had $100, who would you put on in this race? And they all said Larry Ward. He was 3 seconds faster than anybody in practice, went right through his qualifiers into the final, and just dominated the race once he took over the lead there on lap number 3.
Larry Ward aside, a great result for Canadians, 2 in the top 5.
I think Carl Vaillancourt established himself as the heir apparent to Ross Peterson. Ross has dominated the sport in Canada for over a decade now, and I think Mr. Vaillancourt is right up there. But Peterson didn't get off to a good start. He really turned in a courageous ride to finish in 4th.
Pat Gonzalez, been a pleasure working with you. The 1990 Molson Supercross is history. Larry Ward of Seattle, Washington, the winner. For Pat Gonzalez, I'm Scott Russell saying so long from the Sky.